No. Yeah. It was he was yeah, he was well, he might have been cuz he's 19 I think, yeah, is when he went in. Yeah. 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 It's been fun, which is definitely why we enjoy doing our podcast this way. And speaking of, we as you listeners are just joining us now as we just transition in tonight we have Mr. Tom Rose joining us. He's written a book called A Balloon in a Box, and he wrote that after his lovely wife of was it 59 years, Tom? 59 years, sadly passed away back in 2019, and he's written this book on how to deal with grief and in his journey in dealing with that grief and loss after losing your life partner. Honestly, like it's 59 years of love and memories. Yep. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. So, Tom, thank you so much for taking the time to come on our humble podcast tonight and tell your story. And we're excited to hear it. Hey, that's okay. Hmm.
And then probably about 7 months after she passed away, a paternity brother of mine from Florida called me, wanted to know how I was doing, and I said, "Oh, I'm hanging in there. I'm doing it." He said, he said, a friend of mine told me if you write a journal, keep a journal every day, it may help you. So I started doing that. I get up in the morning and I sit at the computer and I type in, you know, what I thought that morning, and then at night I type in what happened.
Yeah.
A couple months after that, he called me again, wanted to know how I was doing with the thing, and he said, "Well, send me the notes." I said, "Well, Doc," and he was the doctor. I said, "Doc, listen, they're just words and sentences, not even paragraphs, phrases." Send them to me. I sent them to me. Long story short, he bugged me for about a month, and after he read them, that I needed to write a book. He said they're so raw, and you were so honest with your notes. He said everybody's got to hear it. So, uh, Balloon in a Box was created, and again, I thought print a couple other copies and that'll be it. But I'll be able to say I wrote a book. Well, I think we're getting up to close to 2,000 books now, and 61 speaking engagements, and like I said, 21 or 22 podcasts and radio interviews and TV. It's been crazy. So, uh, that's what happened to an old man.
You know,
It's great.
it's uh, going back to what we were talking about kind of before we joined and as we were getting on live, talking to so many different people. One lady that we spoke to had a near-death experience and had a very close friend here that she took care of in the last few months of his life. And, really crushed her and what it's like to deal with grief. And she had a near-death experience, believe she met him on the other side. And you saying that you think your wife is going to be smiling as we have this conversation, I am so convinced that that would be the case, is the case. And grief is such a wicked, weird thing to deal with and to process, and not that your wife's death was beautiful in any way, shape, or form, but what's come because of that, it is beautiful, and it's a really cool thing to hear of someone taking a really horrible, sad situation and turning it into, something that can be really, really beautiful and really cool.
I tell you what happens. What happened to me? My wife died from breast cancer, but
Mm.
she had breast cancer 2004, 2005, went through mastectomies, and then she was fine. 2017, all of a sudden, it came back in the chest wall. They told her she had 4 to 6 months to live. She lived till 2019. And quite honestly, until about May of that year, of 2019, we had things were okay. I mean, we could go
Yeah.
out to dinner, we could be with friends. She had a drainage tube in her chest, and so we had to drain that every other day. But but she was pretty good. What so he goes to the hospital anyhow, and they're trying to take care of this tube, and the cancer's starting to spread and all this stuff, and admitted her to the hospital, and then it was going to be Plan A, and then Plan B, and then Plan C, and that week, and then all of a sudden, she went in on a Monday. On that Saturday, she said, "I'm done. I just want to go into hospice. I don't want any more poking, prodding, chemo,
Mm.
radiation. I don't want anything else." And so on that Monday, the hospice nurse came in and said, "Well, you got two choices. You can go home or you can stay here in the hospital." I thought she'd want to come home. Of course, she stayed in the hospital. I understand. I understand. See, I understand now. I was a little upset, but I understand now she did that for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
in hospice for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If it had been home, I'd have been doing the bedpans and the drugs and
Yeah.
So we're in the hospital, or all nurses doing this. All I had to do was sit there. I tell people when I'm speaking, ask everybody to think about this. I was there for 3 weeks. I stayed 24/7. My family would come relieve me in the afternoon so I could go home, shower, eat, get the mail, do whatever. I was there 24/7. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't read. Just sat there with her.
Mm.
You sit there and you think. If you put yourself in a room and do nothing but think for 16, 17 hours a day for 21 days,
Yeah.
your life changes. You discover things about yourself that maybe you don't really like.
Yeah.
Uh, Everybody's selfish, and that's what I mean. everybody's selfish to a certain extent, and that's one of the things that came up. I think I'm sitting there, I think I was selfish. I was selfish. As an example, it was 2018, Sunday afternoon in October. It's beautiful, and like I told you, the golf course is to the west of me here, and there's a cemetery to the east. Beautiful cemeteries, beautiful place to walk, beautiful trees, flowers. The golf course is nice. I'm sitting watching a football game. Bears play somebody, and she came walking out and she said, "Let's go for a walk." And I said, "Nah, go ahead. I'm going to watch the football."
Mm.
Now, I think about that now. I go, "Damn, I wish I'd have gone that walk." I mean, the
Yeah.
Bears are going to lose anyhow. I don't know why I was going to sit there. Why I was going to watch the game, but hey,
Yeah.
those are that's the kind of thing that comes back to, that's the one
Yeah.
thing that there's a lot of other things I wish I'd have done.
Mhm.
I always tell people too that, and I make them do this when I'm speaking. I say, "I love you." You don't say it enough. You don't say it to your wife, your friends, your kids, your family. You take it for granted. Say
Yeah.
it.
And that's
Just
interesting that
make a
you.
point to say it.
Yeah. That's
I make everybody stand up and say, "I love you," and then I point to my son who goes with me and say, "See, I got 24 people, 200 people, 80 people that just said, 'I love me,'
yeah.
I said, write that down. I'm keeping a total."
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because at the end of every one of our podcasts, we make it a point to tell people to do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's how we sign off every podcast is make sure you tell somebody you love them because
Yes,
life is
exactly.
short.
Life is short.
You got it. Well, hey, life is, you're born and you die. That's a
Yeah.
given.
Yeah. Yeah. Two things are
What you
certain.
do in between that counts.
Right.
One of the things that I'm kind of proud of because of the book, and like I say, the book was an accident and everything, but I think I know what he wants me to do. Maybe should have been doing this all my life. Maybe it, took, well, I was 79 when my wife died. Maybe it took all those years for me to finally discover what it is. I know now when I go out and speak, I reach people. I see it in their eyes. They come up afterwards and we talk, people come and tell me their stories. The thing about grief is you can't fix it.
Mm.
Don't try. The only thing the griever needs is for you to listen.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want anybody to do is listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me about you. Oh, I knew some guy. He lost his wife. He lost his mother in the same week. I don't really care. I'm caring about me. I lost my wife. I don't care about anybody else at this point. It's really strange. I'll ask you guys, when you go at the funeral home, okay, and you stand there in that line, and you go, what am I going to say when I get up there? Okay. I'm going to say, oh, he was a nice guy, when maybe he really wasn't. We had 400 and some people go through the visitation funeral home. I heard it all.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people there are things not to say. Please don't tell me God needed her up there more than you needed her down here.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. God's got a whole bunch of people. I only wanted one.
Right.
Right. Don't tell me everything happens for a reason. I really don't care what the reason is. And the worst thing, I think the worst thing is to come up and say, "How are you doing?" You don't want to know how I'm doing.
No, I'm doing terrible, but thanks for
I said,
asking.
yeah.
Yeah,
I say,
I'm
"Oh,
awful,
I'm
thanks."
okay." I must have said that a couple.
Yeah. When in
I tell
reality,
people,
you just want to
yeah,
be like, I'm not good. I'm doing
that's right.
actually terrible right now. Thank you for making me feel terrible again.
Feel worse. One woman, this is honest to God's truth. One woman, 78 years old. One woman came up, put her arm around me, and said, "Tom, you're only 78 years old. You'll find somebody to share your life with."
Jesus, Murphy.
I went, "Yeah, what do you? You're right. Oh my God." I know that all the people that said either the dumb things or the nice things all meant it be nice, comforting, but they just didn't know how. And I didn't know how before. I do now. I go to a funeral home. I just had to go a couple of weeks ago to a friend, a golf buddy, passed away, and his wife. But I just put my arm around her and said, "I love you." That's it. When you say I love you, you're saying it all. I'm here for you. I'll do whatever. In fact, I told her, I said, don't worry about what people say. Just remember the hugs you get because you're going to need them to get through the next few years.
Mm.
So, that's my thing. Um, I I tell people I'm going to be honest with them. My story. I don't hide anything. I don't hide it from you. My wife died from August to November. I was a wreck.
Mm.
Was a miserable, self-pitying wreck. Okay? Didn't care about anything. I hid it. Hid it. Went to church and everybody, I went
Mhm.
to church so I could put my hands and pray like this and everybody could say, oh, there's Tom Rose. He lost his wife. I feel sorry for him. I did the pity party pretty good. I acted that way. Uh, oh, it's a cold November night in Indiana. The wind's blowing, sleet, snow, whatever. If you could see my house, it's an open concept, okay? Well, it's actually a villa on the golf course. It's not even a living room, and then there's a bar, an L-shaped bar, with the kitchen and the dining areas over to one side. I sat there on the bar stools and had dinner. And like I said, we both cooked, so we'd take turns cooking, and whoever cooked would be cooking. The other person would sit on the stool with their glass of wine, and that time from 5 to 7 in the evening was our time. That's when we talked. So I'm out there doing my dinner this night. Had my glass of wine with dinner, cooking dinner. Had my glass of wine with dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Had my glass of wine after dinner. And there's about 2 inches left in the bottle, and hell, waste not, want not, right?
Exactly. Glass of
Before
wine
that,
Amen.
before bed.
yeah. So I think I had to make it worse now. You got to remember, it's cold, crummy, rotten. Got
Mm-hmm.
the fireplace going. Just drank a whole bottle of wine. Got Frank Sinatra playing on the stereo.
Good
I'm
man.
really having a good pity party, right?
Yeah,
Good
I mean,
man. That's my kind of party. I
under
need to
any
be
other
invited to one of
under any
those.
other
Okay.
circumstances, that sounds like a great night.
Okay, so I get up and I think I was going to go change the stereo. I can't remember. Caught my foot on one of the bar stools. Didn't help. I drank a bottle of wine. But I caught my foot and I fall.
Mm.
Oh, right fortunately, onto the carpet in the living room. My wife's favorite saying was, it is what it is, put on your big boy pants and deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm laying there on the floor and I'm thinking, God, she'd really be proud of me. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times she told it. Anytime anything went wrong, she'd just tell me that. I remember, I don't think I'd really cried in the 3 months. I think I'd shed a few tears.
Mm-hmm.
That night, I sat down in a chair and it came out in buckets. I cried.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to bed and thinking, God, you're going to feel terrible in the morning. Something happened. I don't know. I got up that next morning. In fact, I say the first 3 months, everything was black and white. I got up that morning and there was color. The sun was shining.
Mm.
I suddenly knew what I was going to do. I was going to take grief. Grief head on. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I was going to do it. Bring it on, grief. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And that's for the balloon in the box. Someone had told me that grief is like a ball in a box, bounces around when it touches a wall. Something comes back if it touches a corner. A whole bunch of emotions happen at the same time, and it's hard to deal with. I got to think about it. I said, no, it's more like a balloon in a box. Because if you got a balloon on a string, you want to move it left, it probably wants to stay right.
Right.
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
to move it here, the balloon goes there. So that's my thing. And right now, my balloon's tied to my finger here.
Mm-hmm.
Take it with me. All my memories are in that balloon. One of my speeches came up and said, well, if you want to get rid of it, go to the balloon. I said, no. I said, no, that's for all my memories. That's my whole
You
life.
can't
Yeah,
do
you
that.
can't get rid
With
of
me,
that. Yeah.
I'm ready to experience whatever happens when the balloon touches something, Bring back
Yeah.
a memory. I'm ready. I'll handle it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the thing with the balloon in the box.
I like
Um,
that. I like that a lot. That's a great metaphor.
Well,
it
and
works.
wrapped up in that balloon, not only is there the grief and her passing and her sickness, but there's a lot of beauty in that box
Mhm.
too, or in that balloon. I mean, that's 59 years is a long time. That's
Yeah.
there's a lot of great memories wrapped up.
Yeah. And they start when I first met her, and actually, the last thing she said to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is there for 3 weeks. My granddaughter's a singer, a very beautiful voice and everything. been in a lot of theater productions and stuff. And my wife had said, "Well, I'm going to miss hearing Joyce or hearing Amanda sing." I told her, I told Amanda that. She came that night. I wasn't there. I'd gone home, sang for her grandma. Guess she put a concert on for the hall at the hospital. You know, they had all kinds of people. Anyway, now it's 3 weeks. It's the Thursday night before she dies. All she's had water and drugs for almost 3 weeks.
Phew.
I go
Yeah.
back that night. Everybody leaves. You know, they turn the lights down in the hospital about 8:30. She sits up in bed. She's very lucid. Looks at me and she said, "We need to talk." Now, when my wife said we need to talk, we need to talk.
100%.
Oh, she explains. We talked about some things. She explains to me that don't forget it's a closed casket. I said, "Yeah, you want everybody to remember the way you not the. I understand."
Mm-hmm.
I want all the videos and all the pictures and all that stuff at her home. Said there's a green bag in the closet, and that's what I want to go. And I said, "Okay." I found the green bag. What it was 2 cookbooks and a couple articles and stuff about us being on TV and stuff. That's all she wanted. Anyway, so I'm holding her hand, and she looks at me. She said, "I love you, Mama. I'll see you in church." She zinged me right at the end. That's what we did to each other. I have to go to church because that's the last thing she said to me. You know, and you're smiling, and I'm glad you're smiling. I had a lady come up to me angry that I laughed about that. She said, "You can't make a joke of it." I said, "Ma'am, I'm not making a joke of it." I said, "I'm sharing with you something that makes me smile,
Mm-hmm.
make me happy."
Yeah.
You know, not, oh, she said, she was just very upset. And then she finally got, I said, "Understand, my wife and I zinged each other all the time."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "She got the last one in," which really makes me mad. Except I'm saving one. You know, when I get up there, I got one for her.
You got
I'm
one,
saving
and we got one ready.
I got one. Got one. Yeah, see, things happen when you said that thing about the memories, and it was, I think it was what was the first Thanksgiving? It was a couple of weeks after I had my epiphany, you know.
Yeah.
And the kids said, "Dad, we're going to make everything for Thanksgiving except you take care of the turkey because that's what you always do." Okay. Oh, and they always came to my house because we have the bigger place. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm there and I got the turkey on Thanksgiving Eve, and I'm stuffing that bird with the fruit and herbs and all the stuff I put in it. And I tie the legs, and I need a finger on it. Tie that knot, make it tight. She's
Mm-hmm.
not there. I start laughing and I start crying because that was our Thanksgiving joke almost every year. She'd put her finger there and she'd say, "Who helped you tie your Boy Scout knots?" And we'd laugh. My wife was a brunette, brown-eyed brunette, and I think one year I told her, I said, "I think it was a little blonde, blue-eyed blonde. I think I got a dish right side of the face." You know? That's the kind of, you know, I know there's
Yeah.
people maybe not friends, but people that knew us thought we probably hated each other by the way we treated each other sometimes. You know,
Well,
the
I
things we
mean,
did to each other.
those are the
But
hallmarks of a good relationship, though. The fact that you can
that's right.
zing each
Exactly.
other, and then there's still
Oh
the love
yeah,
behind it. And at the end of the day, you know, it's
that's
all
right.
just jokes.
Yeah, I've got a word that I can't say on the podcast. We don't want anybody to say, but she called me something that's not really nice, but it was lovingly. She
Well,
called me that.
anything goes on this podcast, Tom. So if you want to let it, if you
That's
want to
all
let
right.
it fly, that's up to you.
Oh well, she called me an asshole a lot.
There you go.
There you go.
She'd
Hey,
say it with a smile on her face.
of
You know.
course, of course. If they like,
In
if
fact, I
they,
signed my birthday cards and anniversary cards AH because that's the only way she knew who I was.
That's
I
fantastic.
love that. Like
Uh,
if they're not calling you names, then they don't actually care about you.
that's exactly right. It's been a journey, guys, that
Hmm.
I never expected to take. That's
Yeah.
the other thing. When you get married, normally, I mean, you know, the guy's going to go first. That's a given, you know. I think women know that when they get married. I think there's a little thing in the back of their brain that say, "Oh, this guy's not going to be around forever." Because what I have found is, I still maybe what 2,000, 2,500 people now I've spoken with too,
Hmm.
and talked to 1,000 of those people afterwards. I find that women are much more prepared.
Mm,
Women can be alone easier than men.
hmm.
I found that was the toughest thing for me was the loneliness.
Yeah.
Um, I find that when I talk to people, I talk to guys, I talk to women. The only thing the women always tell me was they weren't prepared to take care of the bills if the husband took care of everything. The financial end of it, she said I
Yeah.
wasn't prepared for, but she could do everything else.
Hmm.
Those are interesting. I had a lady, I just said my black period was 3 months. The lady come up to me 2 weeks ago after speaking. She came up, she gave me a big hug. Said, "Thank you very much." I said, "What?" She said, "Well," she said, "you just led me into my epiphany." Oh, I
Wow.
did. She said, "Yeah, I've been in a black period." I said, "How long?" She said, 12 years. I said, "Oh my God." And I
Wow.
said, "I wouldn't be here if mine would have been 12 years.
Yeah.
I'd
That's
have
rough.
just sat in the chair and died. I wouldn't have killed myself. I'd
Yeah.
have just
You
died
just
from,
giving
from
up. Yeah.
all the stuff. Um, and then it's just, it's just so neat. I don't, you can probably tell with my hands here. I like to move around.
That's fine. Yeah.
When
I'd same
when
way.
I give talks and stuff, I don't stand behind a podium. I walk out because
Hmm.
I like to look in people's eyes. I see the stories. One of the things I always like to do, especially with small, I just had a group of 8 people in my house. That's not much, 12 people from a church that's a grief group.
Mm.
I didn't necessarily give my speech. We just talked like we're talking now. One of the things I always do, and I ask you guys, uh, tell me about your first date.
My first date with my wife was we had known each other through friends, and neither of us were really looking. I mean, we were both obviously kind of looking because we were on a date with each other, but neither of us really thought it was going to materialize into anything. And I remember leaving that date thinking, "Oh no, I'm in trouble. Life's about to change because I'm in trouble with this one. She's gonna get her hooks into me." And we got married last November, so we've been
Okay.
together a little over almost 4 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. It has been almost 4 years. Wow.
Yep.
But you smile, and it's a good memory, right?
Oh, it's great. And your relationship with your wife, granted, we're nowhere close to 59 years, but the amount of times my wife and I either flip each other off or call each other a bad name out of total love and with a smile on our face is
Or have
we were out. Yeah,
hallway
we were
sex.
out laying mulch today, and I don't think we flipped each other off today, but we just have fun together.
That's
We're
right.
we're
That's what
best
it's all
friends.
about. What it's all
Yeah.
about.
Well, I'm divorced, so my first date with my ex-wife is not a story for this podcast. It was
But it makes you smile. That's my point.
well, yeah, that one
You
does.
can laugh about it.
I can laugh about it now for sure, and I
Yeah.
can while you've been talking and telling everything, I can relate to the grief side of it because when her and I went through our divorce, it was not my decision to do it. And so at that time it felt very I lost I lost, my best friend at the time and all that. So I can empathize for sure with the same type of feelings, maybe not to, the exact same degree, but I can empathize with those same feelings because it was a kick in the gut out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna say this, and if it gets out there and she hears it, I don't really care. But on, after it was all said and done, and it's been down the road, we're on probably at least 2 to almost 3 years of being divorced. I dodged a bullet in the end with that, so it has all worked out for the best. But at the time, it was gut wrenching, and I was in that black period for probably a solid 3 months or so where like you said everything was just gray, there was no color, I was depressed, I had no motivation to do anything, could barely pull myself out of bed to go to work. And thankfully I found an amazing therapist at the time that got me through it, and journaling like you did
Okay.
with yours to turn into a book. No, I didn't write a book about it. And I probably will never write a book about it. But
Okay.
the journaling helped a lot. Because that's something that I've kept with me. Is that sometimes when you just can't get the things in your head straight or can't verbalize them, that writing it down on paper helps so much to just get things out that you need to get out. And then, like you said, when you had finally had that first like cry afterwards, that's probably about the same time that like when I finally had that like huge sob while we were going through everything, that just kind of like that's when I was like, all right, I can let go now. Like everything is I've sat with it now and now it's out.
Interesting that you say that. Is there's a program in our community where I spoke. It's called Light, Living in Transition Every Day, and it's for grieving people or from spouses, from children. It's for from drug rehab, getting out of jail,
Mm,
all of these things, and divorces.
mm-hmm.
He used my book for a brief session. He had 12 people, and I just went down about the second one to just sit back and I didn't speak. He introduced me, but I sat back in the corner and just listened.
Mm-hmm.
And my book, one of the chapters in my books is on feelings. He said to the group, he said, okay, tonight we're going to write. They were journaling. He said, tonight we're going to write 3 minutes, write down how you feel.
Mm.
They got done, and he read his, and then he asked if anybody liked to read theirs, and a couple of people read it. But I was totally fascinated by the fact that there was a gentleman who had lost his wife. He stood up and read his. There was a gal that was catty corner across the table, away from him, got up, and she was divorced, and she read hers, and they're almost identical.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd have listened to them, you'd have thought they sat beside each other and cheated. That's when it sunk into me what you said. I thought, here's this lady. She's not grieving over the guy she lost. She was grieving over the lifestyle or the life she lost, the
Yep.
things that,
Mm-hmm.
the couple's doing. She was grieving on over all that.
Yep.
And of course, the
And
guy is grieving over the loss. But I did. I said, I told them both afterwards. I said, did you guys get together before and write this, and then you're going to read them? I said, no. So it's kind of interesting when you
yeah.
say. When I speak to it, I always say, this is about my story with my wife. It's not anybody else's story about their spouse or their
Mm-hmm.
child. That's the other thing I can't. I say, I understand losing a spouse. I cannot in any way, totally, no way, understand losing a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's beyond my comprehension.
I don't even want to try to imagine that, like,
Oh,
at all. I
oh,
couldn't. And I don't have any kids right now, but I'm very close with Alex's bonus daughter, um, and some of
oh.
my other friends' kids, and I would not be able to have the like comprehend the amount of grief that would they would feel if God forbid something happened, but it would be close. It would be very close.
It's like I say, I met people with all kinds of losses and things.
Hmm.
Uh, we were talking about first dates. That's in my book. First date's like 4 pages. Um, I was going with a gal that just gone back to college, and I thought we were in a serious relationship. I actually met my wife with a group of people on the weekend, and I didn't pay attention. I didn't know who she, I just met her. She was there.
Hmm.
I was in this serious relationship. Well, that Tuesday I got a Dear Tommy letter.
Oh,
I guess I wasn't
oh.
in as serious a relationship as I thought. And that
Dang.
Wednesday, my friends called me and said, "Ray, we're going to the." I told you I live about 20 miles from South Bend, Notre Dame. So
Mm-hmm.
they said we're going to the movie in South Bend and out for pizza afterwards. Why don't you get a date? And I said, I got a date.
Ugh, I
He
just got
said,
a letter.
well, call that Joyce gal that we met at the thing. I said, she want to go out with me. I said, yeah, I think she would. I said, no, I'm not going to. Well, about 15 minutes later, the gal called me back. She said, I called her. She'll go out with you. I said, okay. You know. So
Leave it to the
now,
friends.
I called her and she said, yeah, I'd love to. I have he's gotten a new car at a Plymouth. I can't remember what they call the stick shift, a little car. there's 6 of us going, and I had a new car, so I'm going to drive. So
Mm-hmm.
four people in the back and 2 people up front. So I go to pick up the guys, and we stopped at the one house, and he said, "Hey, we got plenty of time. Let's have a beer. I want to show you what I'm doing to my car." So we go out and we all have a beer. Get in the car, we pick up our dates. I drive to Elkhart, which is between Goshen and South Bend now.
Mm-hmm.
Pick her up. I don't know what she looks like. I swear to God, I couldn't remember what she looked like. I don't know what I'm dating. You know? I go up, I ring the doorbell, and her mom comes. And our front porch, that was an old house. They had a big old front porch, and the
Mm-hmm.
wood stuck out about 1.5 inches. I catch my toe when I'm stepping up. I fall right in her mom's arms.
Oh no.
Big beer on my breath.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm
Oh
going,
no.
okay. Oh, we go on in, and her mom doesn't say anything. When her dad's sitting there, and he just kind of in a chair, he just kind of looks at me. She said, "Joyce, your date's here," and she comes out. Now here's this brown-eyed, beautiful gal in this yellow. It's summertime, yellow
Mhm.
sundress. You know. Go, oh man, ooh. I don't remember her from the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we leave. Oh, we get in the car and we drive to the movie. She's real quiet. She doesn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
We go out to the movie. After the movie, we go to the pizza place. And when we come out of the pizza place, one of the guys says, "Hey, can I drive the car?" I'm thinking, sure, you can drive the car. No, I get to be in the back seat.
Yeah.
We're really close, right?
Yep.
And we're parked on the street side. So I open up the back door and I let her in first. She goes in, then I get in, and then the other couple gets in behind me. We about 6 blocks from the theater. Now, this is 1961, okay? They're all smoking, you know.
Yeah.
She had the windows down. I didn't have air conditioning. Have the windows down. And all of a sudden, are you ready?
Yeah.
He yells, "Unzip my dress."
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
The
I
guy
think I know.
guy driving the car almost up the curb. Yeah, she flipped the cigarette out the window, came in and went down the back of her dress.
Yeah,
Oh,
I knew. Yeah,
Now,
that's
I get my
exactly.
I get my hand. I'm excuse me, I'm behind her slip, and the
Mhm.
cigarette's between the slip and her dress.
And her dress.
So I got a hold of the cigarette, burning my hands. We get out of the car. If you can picture this, we're standing on a street corner, South Bend, Indiana, under the streetlights, with me with my hand down the back of her dress.
Oh, no.
One of the other
It
gals
doesn't look
unzipping her
good.
dress to get that cigarette. How? You would think that would be the end of it, right?
Right.
No. Get in the car and we drive and get to her house and I go her door and we go in. Mom and Dad are still there watching TV, and she's insisting that she get because I burned my fingers really bad.
Mm.
She's insisting she get something put in my fingers. And so she goes to the bathroom and she comes back out and she puts the salve on and everything. She walks me to the door, gives me a little kiss on the cheek. "I really had a good time, thank you." She turns to walk, and I said, "Oh, Joyce." She said, "What?" And I said, "You should explain to your mom and dad about the cigarette because your dress is still unzipped." Swear to God, that was our first date. How we ever got after that, I don't know. But our parents ever let me back in the house.
Ah.
Oh, but I can tell the story. We laughed about it.
Mhm.
Laughed about it for years.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm
It's
sure.
a great story. I
People
love
tell
it.
me great stories. I always say about your wedding. I had one couple said he dropped the ring and they leaned over. Both leaned over at the same time to pick up the ring, cracked their heads, almost
Mhm.
knocked her out. They had to stop the ceremony. She had to sit down. That's what I try to make people do. I try to make people
Yeah.
tell me your happy stories. Tell me something that really makes you laugh.
Yeah.
Something in your life that and hang on to that. Grab
Mhm.
onto it and go with it. So.
Well, and that's part of the double-edged sword of grief, I feel like, because without all the happy times, the grief wouldn't be so deep. You
Yeah.
know, if you had spent a 59-year marriage just, miserable and just thinking,
Oh,
what am I doing here,
yeah.
but now gosh, it's been 50 years, I can't go anywhere now, it wouldn't be so bad. But when you have all those beautiful times to look back on, and it is so happy, it makes the other side of the coin hurt even more,
Yeah, I can still, like I say, when I held her hand in the hospital, I felt her pain,
Mm-hmm.
her pain in her hand. Um, I would sit there and I would think, God, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I know now why. Made me a better person, much better. I wasn't a bad person before, okay? And I tell you what, guys, I'm a hell of a lot better now than I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see things in people, um, relate with people. I talk. One of my friends said, since your wife passed away, your conversations are much deeper, more thoughtful. And I'm thinking, oh, I must have been talking before and not saying anything. Now I'm saying something. Um, so yeah, it's just, it's really hard to explain
Yep.
because you have to be me and know me
Mm-hmm.
inside to know what's changed. And like I say, you sit and think all those hours for 21 days, you really think that, um, I am, I'm happy that when my time comes, I meet him, meet the maker, I can look at him and say, hey, God, I used the last years you gave me, whether or months or time, if it's
Mm-hmm.
months or 20 years, whatever it is, I used it because I'm going to get to use it now.
Yeah.
My book is giving me that opportunity.
And that's
In fact, I just finished last night. I self-published it the first time. I now have a publisher.
Mm.
What he wanted me to do was go back, and my son's helped me. We've gone back and updated things
Mm-hmm.
we've learned and people we've experienced. And I also, since I wrote that book, I think I'm an author now, so I wrote a novel.
Good for you. That's
Sounds great
amazing.
though. I like
So
that.
I've gotten some nice reviews. One
Mm-hmm.
guy said I really enjoyed it, but he's still an amateur. And I said, yeah, I'm an amateur. Only that's the first book I ever wrote. I mean, first novel I
Hmm.
ever wrote. Yeah, I'm an amateur. I don't know.
Right.
And it was fun. It was interesting. And what I did was uh, I created the story, and I knew what was going to happen. It's a mystery. It's called The Secret is in the Pasta. It
Mm.
takes place in an Italian restaurant. It looks like at first that it's a simple murder or robbery murder type thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it just keeps building, which is easy. The story's a really easy thing. The hard thing is the characters.
Mm.
You have to give these characters personalities and things,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the difficult thing. And I finally figured out how to do it. How many people do you know? That's the people you're going to be in your book.
Yeah.
That may not be the same name, that may not be the same job, it may not even be the same gender, but those personalities you put in those people. And I wrote it in the first person so that the detective in the book is probably me, my ultra ego, okay, much younger. Uh, I lost my wife. In the book, he loses his wife, not to breast cancer. He loses his wife in an automobile accident.
Mm.
Then I can give him my emotions,
Mm-hmm.
give him my feelings. So in the book, he's trying to solve a murder. He's trying to forgive the guy that killed his wife in the automobile accident. And there's a woman that he's kind of liking, you know.
Oh.
So he's torn, So all those three things are going on in the book. Well, so it was fun, and
Yeah.
it's doing okay.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think I'm I
shoot.
think I'm going to write a I think I'm going to write a sequel to it. I left it open at the end so I can write a
Mm.
sequel.
Well, you've referenced it a couple times, and it makes me think of the quote, and I'm probably going to butcher the quote. A lot of man's greatest fault is the inability to in a room alone with his thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure I butchered that, but
You're pretty close. You're pretty close.
yeah, there's so much truth in that, and it sounds again. I do not want to reference your wife's death in any sort of way that's positive whatsoever. Just the outcomes following that. But it sounds, and especially you being a spiritual guy, that God gave you sort of that opportunity to take something broken and turn it into something beautiful, and that's what you've done. And that's a really I say this to like every podcast guest. I'm not just saying this because we're on a podcast and I'm trying to like make you sound like, oh, Tom, great job, but that really is a very beautiful thing. A lot of people can take that sort of situation and just sit in it and just not do anything with it. But taking the opportunity that was presented to you, as horrible as it may be, and turning it into something beautiful. The more that you talk, the more I really have a lot of respect for you.
That's the whole premise. That's the whole premise. Wish you guys were close so you could come to this thing at the theater to say life continues, embrace the changes. And what we're doing is we're going to talk about what we've talked about, and we got some more stuff. We go in there about reinventing yourself and all that kind of stuff. We're going to have people there that's what I tell people. But people say, well, I can't write a book. You don't have to write a book. What was your wife's favorite charity? Oh, was it? Well, then join that, help that charity out.
Yeah.
Find something to do in her honor. Okay?
Yeah.
Now make it her honor. Say, I'm going to do this because of her or because of him. And so that's what we're going to do at this thing. We're going to have people there to help people. Okay, hospice group's going to be there. Want to help our hospice here? Here's the people about that. The Goshen hospital's going to be there. You want to be a redcoat at the hospital, and help people. There are all kinds of opportunities for Tom Roses at 82 to do rather than sitting in a rocking chair and watching television. There are all kinds of things, and that's what I've learned in talking to people. There's a group called Aging Connections, and they're all going to be there. There's like 20 different organizations for elderly people to get involved, to do things. You want to help kids? You want to help at the school? You want to help kids learn to read? Go down to the school and say, hey, any kids that need to be mentored? So that's the whole premise of what we're going to do at the theater. We're going to say, hey, we know you're grieving. We know everybody's grieving about something. The other thing, people, empty nesters, when all of a sudden all the kids are gone, and the couple's in their late 40s, and they're all standing there looking at each other. What the hell do we do now?
Well, if you're my parents, you buy a boat and leave.
But you know what? 47% of those people get a divorce.
Mom, you're fine.
Do you say that?
47%.
Do you say 47 or 27?
47.
47.
Holy cow!
That's the reason for divorce. I shouldn't say that's not every
Of course,
that's the reason that's given their divorce, because they lose touch with each other when they got the kids. Mom's doing this, and Dad's taking the kids to soccer practice and baseball practice and everything, and they get the kids fed, and Dad goes in and falls asleep in front of the TV, and he's got to get up the next morning and go to work, and Mom starts in again, taking the kids to school and picking them up. Just it's a crazy life,
Yeah. Well, if you're my parents, once the empty nest hits, they just buy a boat and leave.
That's great. I love that.
They're buying a boat and they're saying, see ya. They downsize each time one of us left, and then now they're getting ready to get a boat and get out of there.
What you got to do. Life goes on. Life continues.
And life happens so fast,
Oh my gosh.
Having a 7-year-old, not biologically mine, but my wife's, and obviously treat her like she's my own. Bonus daughter is what I call her. Life happens so fast, and I was actually on the way to the gas station today thinking, like spending a day with my wife, like working on the yard, laying mulch and stuff. I was trying to remind myself, one day you're going to think about these times like these are the good old days, so you have to, and it's hard to slow down in the moment, but you have to, because we're only here for, a certain amount of time. The only thing that's guaranteed is we're born and we die. And that's it.
And we pay taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birth, death, and taxes.
Right? And surprisingly enough, I like my turkey and the string story. That,
Hmm.
that's mine. It's a precious story. Somebody else is going, oh, big deal, you tied the string on it, But
Yeah.
and you're talking about laying mulch, or you're talking about something that happened with your
Hmm.
kid, that may not be significant at the time, but somewhere down the road it will be. You'll think,
One day it's going to be the one thing that you latch on to.
M-
that's right.
My wife has started watching this. I don't know if either of you are familiar. Maria Kondo. She's like a tidying up lady. Like she's from some
Minimalist.
sort of Oriental descent. I don't, maybe Chinese or Asian. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm not that big of a fan of the show, but it's a show my wife watches, and I shouldn't say that, Kristen, if you're listening. Watch the show, but I
Gonna
was
hear
laying
about
in
this one
bed.
later.
I was laying in bed watching the episode the other night as she's kind of drifting off to sleep, and the episode was a wife that had lost her husband, and they're like in their mid 50s, and she's cleaning out the clothes from his closet, and I'm bawling, and she's basically asleep, and I'm trying to hide my tears because I don't want her to see me crying at this stupid show. And the next morning at breakfast, I'm like, it just struck such a chord with me because you're not allowed to go before I do. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, I have to go first. You're not allowed to, because I just don't think, I don't know how I'd be able to do it, you know. And I'm blessed to say that, because she is my best friend and I love her dearly. But at the same time, that level of grief, I just don't know that I could do it.
Yeah.
It.
When you said time, again, I'm 82 years old. I'll be 83 in November.
Oh, November birthdays. Let's go.
My first.
I'm on the 12th.
I'll tell you what happens. Days are very slow, they're long. Months and years fly by.
Yes.
I know that sounds
Oh
strange,
my
but my
gosh.
days seem like they're, particularly in the evenings. Again, the loneliness sets in. There's nothing on. I'm sorry, there's nothing on TV anymore. So
Yeah.
that's why an idiot like me writes a book. What the heck,
I guess I can't watch TV. I'll just write a book.
Write a
I'll
book.
just write a book. But yeah, because backing up, when I wrote Balloon in a Box, my friend talked me into writing it. I spent a month every night writing a page or two. Then I thought, since you're an author, it has to have big words. So you go to the thesaurus and change the words, right?
Yeah.
And you get up the next morning and go, who the hell wrote that?
That's not me. Who is this guy?
No. Honestly, when I'm sitting right here, my glass of wine after dinner was about 8:30. Sat down here and I thought, okay, write it like you would talk to three guys. Okay?
Write it as Tom.
Write it that way. And I started in. All of a sudden, it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
I had page after page. I did two things. Number one, I didn't worry about spelling. And number two, I didn't worry about punctuation. And I didn't worry about whether it was a paragraph or whether this was a chapter. Just wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took that and I went back and got my notes, journal. I started putting those in there and creating chapters. But it was so easy that way.
Yeah.
Because it was all there. I'd already done it all. It was just a matter of kind of organizing.
Right.
And the same thing when I did the novel. I thought, what the heck, let's do it. I wrote the story and then I tried to fill the characters in, which took forever to create them. I know some of my friends read it, they can probably find themselves in there, but okay.
So a lot of your Balloon in a Box book, a lot of that does come from your notes from your journal, you said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That has to be a very vulnerable type of situation, because I've especially in tumultuous parts of my life, I've kept a journal as well, that I don't want anybody to read ever. Hopefully when I die, the computer that they're written on gets thrown into a burn pit or something.
I got you, Alex. Don't tell me
Um,
the passcode, and I will throw it in the incinerator for you.
yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. What was that process look like? I mean, that has to be a very vulnerable type of experience.
Those notes, those notes no longer exist.
Mm.
And again, I'm honest with people when I speak. I tell them about falling down. I tell them about, tell them about those things. There are some things in there that I wrote in my notes, but only my friend in Florida read, and I kind of forgot they were there. Be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
I would have probably taken them out before I sent them to him. One of the things that really, really had to think about was when I was cleaning the house after my wife died, I found her diary.
Mm.
She kept through a few weeks before we got married. She didn't keep it anymore. There are some notes in there of hers that I read. Maybe I shouldn't have.
Mm.
And there's some of those things that when I was journaling, so to speak, I maybe thought about something like that, and those were in there.
Mhm.
I would say fortunately, not unfortunately, really. My friend in Florida died, so what he read went with him. I hope he didn't publish it down there someplace. And I don't mean that to laugh, but I mean,
No, I know
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
mean.
I'd have to be calling him and saying, "Hey, Doc, you please." I know I was in there. Don't tell you. Um, yeah, it's one of the things you just talked about your wife being your best friend. I you're not going to believe this either. I'm writing another book, and it's called Love. It's kind of like balloon in a box. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I don't know whether I'll ever write it. Let's put it this way: I'm putting
It's
stuff in the computer.
something is
Yeah.
working there.
One of the things that I started to think about my wife. Yes, we loved each other. Yes, we were best friends. Yes, we were partners. Were we soulmates? Now, you don't have to have a successful marriage. You and your wife don't have to be soulmates. She doesn't have to know everything that's deep inside of you.
Mm.
You don't need to know everything that's deep inside of her. Only thing's important is that you love each other and you enjoy being with each other. Now, if you are soulmates, that's fine. I find it hard to believe that there are too many couples who are really soulmates.
Mm.
I'm sure that wife's girlfriend, best friend,
Mhm.
knows more about what's really deep inside her than you do, or than I did. I know my wife didn't know a lot of things that are deep inside of me. And again, not necessary for a successful marriage. We proved that. I mean, 58
Right.
years. And she did not, and that never came until I started thinking about it, because people say, you said it, my wife's my best friend. Well, is she your soulmate? Do you tell her everything? No, you don't. You just said you had some stuff written here for anybody to read. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no.
apparently you haven't told her those things. So
Tom's trying
yeah,
to get you in
I
trouble.
think I just think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting thing to think about, love and being a soulmate. And
Mhm.
my thing is you don't have to be somebody's soulmate,
Yeah.
have a marriage and have
No, not at all.
if you do, it's fine. If you do, it's fine.
Right. I saw something not too long ago, a couple of days ago actually, that was like, yeah, your soulmate's not always the person that you marry. Your soulmate could be your best friend. It could be, anybody else. It honestly could honestly be your freaking dog if it needed to be, because
Yeah, true.
you
That's
tell your
true.
dog everything. Who's he gonna
That's
tell?
right.
He's just gonna sit there and
He's
give you
writing
a
it down in secret. So
Right. Yeah, when I'm asleep, he's back there on scratch paper. But you're gonna, you tell the dog everything. He'll give you a freaking lick on the face, and then you feel better, and he had a conversation with you, and so he feels good too. But yeah,
I,
the thing of it was your soulmate doesn't have to be the person you marry. It could be
I don't think I
anyone.
have a soulmate. I'm I've got some good friends, and I've told them certain things, but I don't think
Mhm.
I've ever told anybody what's clear down, way down inside me.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
God, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really interesting term, and my brain is wrapping
Trying to digest it.
around that, trying to digest it, and I think like you said, I don't think that they have to be, and I think one of the things I enjoy most about my wife is she doesn't feel like she needs to be. I don't think that I necessarily have a quote unquote soulmate, that I was like put on this earth to marry this person. I don't think that was it for me. And she gives me that space to be my own person, and she's always there for me. But at the same time, I could sit down with that journal, all of those pages that I've written, and I could read them, and she'd say, "Okay, let's get into it." But she doesn't. We don't have to,
Yeah, yeah.
which is a beautiful part. Relationships are so. I was 33 when I got married, and had been through a handful of relationships before, and definitely knew what didn't work. And when you find one that does work, pretty quick, especially a little bit, in mid 30s or whatever, at least for myself, you learn quick how to coexist and how to love somebody,
Yeah.
and I think that's
was
kind of the name of the game.
just damn lucky. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really was.
Well,
Because early on, she could have said, I could get rid of this guy because he's worthless. So.
yeah.
I think any of our wives could have said that about any of us at one point in time.
Right.
Probably. I think with my experience, I think that the reason that that was my first one was because I have typically always learned lessons the hard way. So I think that one was, this is your trial run. It's gonna hurt and it's gonna suck at when it comes crashing down, but you're gonna learn a lot. And I did. I learned a lot through that whole experience, which is gonna help me later whenever whoever's next comes down the pipeline. Who knows when that is? I don't. I'm out just having, we're just living. When the time comes, the time comes. But yeah, that I think my first go around was my one free trial. And
I hope you know that all this stuff you're telling me is going in my book on love.
that's fine. Run it up. You have
Because that's where
permission.
things.
But yeah, I think
Just fascinated me when I got the soulmate thing. I don't know where I came. I went all of a sudden. Well, no, he wasn't my soulmate. I heard somebody say that, about their couple. No, my wife and I weren't soulmates. I know that she had stuff deep down in her she never shared with me. Wouldn't have pushed her to ask her for it. It's not wasn't necessary. So I've heard I heard younger couples say, "Well, I have to, you don't have to be, you don't have to know everything."
It's funny you bring up the term younger, because I remember dating the girl that I dated in high school, thinking that this was my soulmate, and now I'm so glad that I am not with that person. I feel like that's almost, I don't want to call it a fantasy, because I think maybe some people do feel like they were put on this earth, and maybe in the cosmic being of the creator putting us all here, maybe he really does choose people, to be together. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I feel like that's almost kind of like a fairy tale type term. I don't think that's real. One of my favorite, sorry, I'm rambling. One of my favorite quotes comes from a really dumb movie. The movie's called Zack and Miri Make a Porno. It's a really kind of comedy, but one of the
He
things
took Tom off guard with that one. He wasn't ready for that title.
Okay.
well, it's not.
Look at that one up just as soon as we're done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's on YouTube.
It really is. it it really is kind of a beautiful movie in the way that they talk about love, and they're doing kind of candid interviews of everybody, and one guy, they're asking him if he married his dream girl, and now of course this is scripted and acted and everything, but he says, I didn't marry my dream girl. My wife isn't my dream girl because she's real.
Mm.
She's perfect for me because she's real. And that has rang with me. I don't, again, such a crazy dumb movie, but that has stuck with me my entire life. I'm not looking for my dream girl because dream girls exist in dreams. That's the only place they exist.
That's right.
My ideal partner is who I married because she's real. She's a real person. She's not a dream girl. She's in front of me, you know.
Tell you my story when I were talking. Actually, I am working on the love book, and it says somewhere I quoted. It says everyone has 3 to 5 serious relationships in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and I'm thinking about girls I dated and everything. My wife is. I told you the golf course is over here. The cemetery's over here. My wife's 250 yards away over here in the cemetery. My girlfriend's 50 yards down the road. And they knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
The girl that I dated in high school, in college, I could have married, would have married. She was the one that said no, because she knew what she was going to do. She was going to be a school teacher. That was it. I'm in college, and all I could think about was the pizzas and beer and parties, you know. She's
As
gone,
one
well,
does.
what are you going to do with your life? I don't know. Her name was, I shouldn't say it. Her, well, yeah. everybody
Anonymity.
knows it. Yeah. And she would say, well, you got to do something with your life. Well, I don't know. I'm only 19. What the hell? Why
Yeah,
do I have
like-
to make a decision? You know, well, finally, actually, it was our junior year in college. We came home, and she said, why don't we take some time off this summer? That's the first clue, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no
yeah.
kidding.
Time off.
There's yeah.
Anyway,
Clue number 1, it's over.
that's right. And when we ran around the same gang of people, well, summer we were together or not together and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She met this guy late summer that graduated from college and going to be an engineer, and
That was it. Yeah.
They ended up getting married 2 years later and a divorce 2 years after that. And now, this is 57, 58, 59, 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
She just died, just passed away in Arizona. Wanted to come back here to be with her parents, family. And this friend of her, she had very few friends out there. One family with the kids that whacked the gal called her aunt. So she called me and she said, well, I need help. I said, what? She said, well, Diane's passed and she wanted to come back. And I said, well, yeah, I'll help you. Well, I said, I'll get a hold of the funeral home. You're the guy I know, and you know about this. Anyway, long story short, she calls me and she said, and I have a note here that Diane gave me. Okay. Said she would like you to do the ceremony. I said, I'm not a minister. She said, she just said she would like you to read some prayers. And we remained good friends all the years. We communicated, and my wife knew her well too. And anyway, kind of touched me, you know.
Yeah.
I do I call my friend. I'm Catholic. Call my friend the priest.
Yeah.
And stop in. I said, hey, Father, I need some prayers. He said, well, go to this place go on the internet, you know, to homily.com, as I always call it, where they get their homilies. always tell- Yeah, every time he does a homily, and then after Mass, I go up and say, hey, nice one you found there on homily.com, didn't you? Anyway, I actually, besides writing Blue in the Box and writing a novel, I'm now a minister too. So,
No, there you go.
well, not really, but again, that kind of touched me, and you know, and that's where I walk in the cemetery. I walk by them both every day. Funny thing is, I walk by my wife and my stone's there, you know, with her name on it and my name's on it, my birthday. Kind of look like this to make sure the other date's not on there yet. 'Cause it is. And I know when I do that, God and she both laugh and say, hey, you'll never know. We only know. Just keep going, you know.
Not yet, big dog.
That's right. That's right. So that's my life.
Just keep
My life.
going.
Yeah.
It's beautiful that you keep a comedic sense about
Mhm.
it. You know, referencing that lady earlier, you know, who was upset about your wife's last words of "see you in church." You know,
Yeah.
life's just too short or too long, or however you want to look at it.
Well,
You know, a flash in the pan. You know, you have to laugh. You have to
Yeah.
have fun with it.
Well, like my mom said earlier in the chat over here, she said life is for the living, so get out there and live. And so
Yeah.
do your best to just get out there and live your life while you're still here and worry about the rest of it later whenever the time comes.
That's right. That's right. I just, again, was I was born raised Catholic, went to Catholic,
Mhm.
went to parochial school. In fact, I always tell everybody when I was writing the book Balloon in a Box that I didn't pay attention to English class when I was in college or when I was in high school. So, and I can't spell. So the biggest word in the book is the word Catholic because after 8 years of parochial school, I did learn how to spell Catholic. You know, I just so many things have happened. Like I said, I wasn't a bad person before, and I was a Christian. I mean, Catholic. I was an okay Catholic, you know.
Mhm.
I'm much better now. My wife was very good. Well, converts always are, you know.
Yeah, converts are always the most
Catholic
devout.
converts are much better than Catholic, you know, born Catholic. Um, but I'm better, so much better now. So much. I kind of say, like tonight, I get ready to go to bed, and I say, "Well, Joyce, how the hell did I do today?" You know.
There you go.
and
Yep.
and I want Jesus, you know, give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Did I do what you wanted me to do today, or did I was I a jerk? You know, that's all I
Yeah.
need. Just give me one of these, you know. Um, and that's kind of the way I live my life. Uh, I don't. Yeah, I get angry and say that. There are people that I don't care for,
Mhm.
but I try to be kind to everyone, even though they're a jerk.
Yeah.
I find opposite. I just kind of say, I feel sorry for them because they're a jerk. I don't get angry with them because they're a jerk. I feel sorry for them because they're a jerk. I feel sorry for them that they don't know what I know or what I
Mhm.
feel or what I want to do or what they should be. You know, don't go through life like he said. You know, in the misery. Don't go through life getting mad all the time. Um, I've got a family situation that well, not my family, a friend's family. Um, and then he's telling me about his brother and their wife and how they're doing and what they're doing. They're yelling at each other all the time, all that stuff. And I said, God. And I said, they're both such nice people. I know them. They're both such nice people. He said, yeah, but you ought to be around them when they're, you know, when they don't know you're around. You know. He said,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we go out to dinner together. They're great. But he said, I swear to you, in the car, back they get home, she's going to be yelling at him all the way until he falls asleep that night. You know. So I'm thinking, my God, how can you go? We got to be miserable. You know.
And I think that's the right response that not enough people maybe in our culture as a whole have. You know, when you look at someone who is so angry, you know, cuts you off in traffic or, you know, is flipping you off on the road or whatever, you know, that can't be a fun existence to go through.
No.
Oh,
You know, that can't be a fun life to live, and you're missing out on so much that's right in front of you. You know, this is all so beautiful. The idea that we're all here existing together, you know, just the fact that we're living and breathing and our hearts still beating and the sun's still shining, you know, that's all so much to be grateful for just right there.
you got
And
it.
to get wrapped up in the small stuff, it's just not worth it. You
No.
know, it's just not
No.
worth it.
I'm a happy person. Yes, I lost my wife, and yes, it's tough. But we had all the memories. We had all the things. So, and we had 58 years together. So, thank you, God. You know, I
Mhm.
like to add more, but it didn't work out. So, move on,
Yeah.
move on with your life, and do some good with your life. You know.
Yeah.
And this again, like I said, all happened by accident. This has become my opportunity to share my feelings and help some people. Well, what I hope is that I talk in front of a group that when I'm done, if they're grieving, if they're on a grief journey, we call it a love journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
That- I can't change it. I can't fix it. I can't end it for them. It's forever. But maybe what I say and what I've done, I can smooth it out a little. Maybe that road doesn't have so many bumps and potholes. Maybe it's a smoother journey of love. Particularly if you think about the love rather than the grief. Don't think about the loneliness. Think about the love that you had, the lovely things that you did, and those things. And that's and I say that, and every once in a while I feel like I'm a little bit of a hypocrite, okay? Because then I sit here on a Saturday night or something, and I start feeling sorry for myself and lonely, you know.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be the guy I'm the guy that's smiling and laughing, but all of a sudden I'm not, and then I have to do something. I have to write a book or something.
Yeah, well, that's
Start
just
feeling that way. Write a book, you know.
yeah. I mean, but that's just human, though. We all get that.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
the same way. I'm however many years I am, 2 years now removed from my divorce, and I live alone with me and the dog right now. And there are days, where you come home and you're like, "Dang, pretty empty in
Yeah.
here." But
You are you dating?
in and out, yeah. I had a girlfriend for a little while. We were long distance, and that we were dating off and on for about a year, and then very recently we both kind of sat down and had a talk, and it didn't end. It didn't start as a talk to where we were gonna end our relationship. We're still really good friends right now. I mean, I would still consider her one of my best friends. Um, but we just, took stock of where we were at. And we're like, this long distance thing is just taking too much of a toll on the both of us right now. So,
People ask me now, well, are you dating? Are you doing? No, I say, no. I have some female friends. Not looking for another wife. Yes, I enjoy going out to dinner with a gal and sitting and talking to a woman. Um, there's a couple nice ladies that I know. I have I live in a condominium and villa complex of 53 units, and probably 32 of them are widows. So
mm,
Hmm.
everybody laughs because at 4:30 in the afternoon at Tom Rose's it's cocktail hour. A bottle of wine comes out and the cheese and crackers, and it's either in the fireplace in the winter or on the deck in the summer. So um, I have a couple gals that come by and they sit and we talk, and I went to the movie with a gal, and we just both wanted to see Man Called Otto. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
mm.
Um, have you seen it?
I
No,
have
but I
not.
have I've seen the ads for it, and it looks
Oh,
very interesting.
oh, go take your wife, go see it. Take your wife and go see it, and then
Tom,
you'll understand what you were just talking about, what you told her about. She has to go first, or you have to go
yeah,
first. Yeah, take to the movie. Tom
Tom
Hanks
Hanks.
is fantastic in it.
Tom Hanks is one of my mom's favorite actors, and de facto is one of my favorite actors as well. I've
His
heard
son's
the I've heard the reviews. I know I'm gonna cry, which is maybe part of internally why I
it
know
is.
that I haven't gone in to see it
Then you're
yet.
gonna laugh, but then you're gonna laugh,
Yeah.
and you're gonna cry again. Okay.
Yep. Yep. No,
I
I it's on the
really
list.
enjoyed that movie. Well, yeah, we were a bunch of people in a dinner party. I think there were about 8 or 10 people there, and this gal, somebody said something about the movie. I said, "Yeah, I want to go see that," and she said, "So do I." And I said, "Well, hell, let's go." So she's funny anyway. She told me when we came back from the movie, we pulled in the driveway. She said, "You want to shake the neighborhood up?" And I said, "What's that?" She said, "Just leave your car in the driveway and walk home. Just leave it here overnight. That will drive everybody in the neighborhood crazy." I
uh,
on Saturday morning, there's a couple shops about. There's a place called Grandma's. They sell chocolates and spices and all this kind of stuff. I go there and the butcher shop and stuff. And I said something about going down to this community, and this gal says, "I've never been to that." And I said, "You want to go? I'm going tomorrow morning." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I'll pick you up at 9:30." She lives about 4 houses from me. It's a Saturday morning. So I pick her up. We go to 3 places, stores. We're back by 11 o'clock. They had us married, dating, They spread into. I get a call from friends at the golf course. Says, "I understand you had a date this morning." What the hell are you talking about? I went to the grocery store. You know? So, I'm not saying never
Right.
because that's the dumb word to say. I don't
Hmm.
think so. I'm 82. I just need friends.
Yeah.
Just need people to talk to. We talk about the griever. There's a quote says, griever needs three things. They need find the words, say the words, know those words have been heard.
Hmm.
That's all they need. You were talking earlier too. A quotation that I like is about grief is Bishop Sheen said, see if I get this right. Sometimes God has to break a heart to get into it.
Mm.
That's what he did with me. He broke my heart,
Hmm.
like 1,000 pieces,
Yeah.
Humpty Dumpty.
Hmm.
You can't put it back
Can't
together.
put that one. Yeah.
But he got into it. Really got into it, and surprised me, but it happened. Uh, if I hadn't written the book, if I hadn't have done my journal notes, if my friend hadn't pushed me into writing the book, I wouldn't be talking to you guys, and who knows what I'd be doing. Uh, I wouldn't have written the novel. And one of the other things that's really neat about what's going on here is I have a son who's 58 years old, maybe 59 or 58. Again, I mean, anyway, approximately 58 years old. Okay,
Hmm.
he's driving me now. Wants to go with me, and he's doing my introduction. As he says, he's driving Mr. Daisy. He always tells him. He does a real nice introduction. So we're spending time together. And it's hour, 2 hour drive, whatever we do,
Hmm.
um, back and forth. And we usually go out to eat on the way back or something like that. And so spending a lot of time with my son at 82, I'm getting to spend time with my 58-year-old son. And that's
That-
precious. It really is.
Absolutely.
It really is. And we've learned to, we were in business together. We spent a lot of time together, but it was business time. It was, yeah, we're sharing a lot of things we never shared before. We,
Mm.
we didn't have
Hmm.
time. We weren't.
Yeah.
If he came, we both work out of houses here. We're like 4 doors apart. Our business, but if he came here, I went there. We sat. And we talked about business. We did things. More. We were with the rest of the family, my granddaughter, and everybody else. Just the two of us. No, really, just driving and talking about things that fathers and sons that probably never talk about. So
Well, and
Nice.
he lost his mom too, you know.
Yeah.
I got
So
it. That's what he
yeah.
said. And he was an only child,
Mm.
so he was mama's boy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They were very close. They were closer than uh, they were until now. They were closer than he and I, because he'd ask her things that he didn't ask me. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
she'd
the
tell
same
him
thing with my mom right now.
she'd tell him things that I wouldn't tell him.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
had a real close relationship. Ours has developed now to that too.
Yeah. I'm the eldest of three, and I'm still that way with my mom. I'm a
And you should
huge,
be.
I'm a huge mama's boy. She
And you
knows it.
should be. You should be. Should be. Unfortunately, again, I probably wasn't with my mom. I was probably closer to my dad. Uh, again, uh, had two sisters, and my dad and I seemed to do things because we had to with three women in the house. We
Yeah.
wanted it.
A little outnumbered right there. The boys had to band
That's right.
together.
Hey, let's go to the ball game together and get away from these girls. So, okay. It was a fun thing, to do. So
Yeah.
it's life now. Life in the little city, little town.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't sound it sounds like a great life, honestly. Um you and your son bonding together, you're sharing your story, you're helping people figure out how to process their grief and through your story. And yes, it all came about from uh, you know just the worst event, the saddest event, but I truly I think it's beautiful that you've been able to take that and help people.
Yeah.
Beyond beautiful.
Yeah.
Beyond beautiful.
Yeah, I always like to think of it's easy to take something malleable and make it beautiful, but to take something that's broken and shattered on the floor and to put it back together and make it beautiful, that's very special. That's a special experience.
It is. It is. And like I said before, I'm thinking good things in my life been by accident,
Hmm.
not by plan. Accident meet my wife in the first place. Al, um, when we did the cooking thing on, we were on Fox Television for 13 years cooking.
Hmm.
It was a total accident. We ever got on to start with. Reason was that I like to cook on the weekends, and my sister bought me a wok, and one weekend I cooked in a wok and got into cooking Chinese, and had a friend that liked to do the same thing. We'd get together on weekends, and so I told him, I said, hey, try cooking woks. We'd go back and forth, and then his wife was with the YWCA, and she got us to teach a cooking class at the Y, which we took as a challenge, and figured we'd do it once and that'd be it. Well, people keep wanting us to do it.
Mm.
He and I did about a dozen of them, and then he retired to Florida, and they kept wanting it, so I got my wife to do it. And
There it went.
long story short, my kid talks to know somebody at Fox, and the lady says, well, I'm gonna have your parents come on and talk about, well, we'd written one of the cookbooks by then, talk about their cookbook and cooking. So we go on, and we were on the way. Well, actually, we were back home. The phone rang, and it was from the producer of the show, and said, "You come back once a month?" And I said, "We could do that." Back once a month, and then it was once a week, and for 13 years, only by accident.
It's amazing.
So, and the next thing I know, I'm writing a book called Balloon in a Box,
Hmm.
and by accident, I'm speaking to people and doing podcasts and radio and all this stuff.
Well, I'm certainly glad that you're here today. It's been a fantastic conversation, and
Thank you.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a
Thoroughly
great.
enjoyed it. And I'm also very excited because I think this is about the time that we can, it's been a couple weeks, but we can finally ask the question that we have been asking all of our podcast guests, except for the last couple, because it really didn't fit with who we had on. But this is Alex's question. He likes asking it to everybody, and I keep kind of a running mental tally of everybody's answers, and kind of see who's I like the best. But I'll let Alex ask you this question, but it's very fitting for where we're at, what we talked about.
For everybody that listens weekly, I apologize because it's broken record time. But I've asked every guest we've had, for the most part, this question, and doesn't matter who we have on or necessarily why we're interviewing them. All of the responses have been so amazing, and it's an extremely loaded question, so I apologize in advance. It can be, the answer can be 2 sentences or it can be a paragraph, whatever you prefer. When you think about why we're here as humans, as the creations that we are on Earth, what do you think our goal should be? Why do you think we're here? What's the objective? Why are we here? What's our goal as a people, as a humanity, I suppose?
You do have loaded questions.
I know. I say, and that's been the response of almost every single person.
Everyone's first sentence is like, "Poof, that was loaded."
Yeah.
Did you sit a long time to think this up? Why
No,
did you say something like, "How do you feel today?" Or do you like strawberries
No.
or raspberries? No.
Honestly, it spurred from the very first interview we did, and the conversation just kind of led there. And I thought, I'm gonna ask everybody that comes on here this question, because the responses have been so beautiful and all kind of have the same.
Yeah.
And I can almost, obviously I don't know exactly what you're gonna say, but I feel like I could take a pretty good stab in the dark and be kind of close. Because it doesn't matter if it's atheist or religious or 12 years in jail or a woman that makes
bone
jewelry
jewelry.
out of bones or what it's all been so similar regardless of religious views or anything
Mhm.
like that, and it's been very heartening to say the least, because we're all a lot more similar than I feel like some would lead us to believe, regardless of those backgrounds. So that's kind of where it sparked from.
Okay. I'll start. And if the first part of your question would have been, who are you? The answer would have been his,
Mm.
his creation. Knowing that, then, if you are the creator, if you build something or make something, you make it with a purpose. And again, taking the religious thing, because that's what I know now, that's what's in my brain.
Right.
And it's pretty obvious then, it's to serve him and to be a good person that he wants me to be, that he wants us to be, and to follow in the steps of his son. Can't heal, I can't, pull miracles. I can't help heal and help people understand. And so, yeah, that's, I guess that's my answer. Very simple.
It's simple,
Yes.
but great.
Created,
And
he created me, so he, that's it.
yeah, it's
I wouldn't
simple.
have 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah. It's simple, but profound at the same time, and yet also
It's
still similar to the other answers
not
we've
profound
received.
because other people said the same thing I'm saying. I'm
Well,
just
it's
repeating.
no, I wouldn't go that far. I'll still say it's profound, but for me, because it's like sometimes for at least in my experience, some of the most profound things I've heard in life have been some of the simply said things.
Yeah. When somebody asked me a question like that, and I wish I could come up with an answer like that. When I was in college, philosophy professor, remember the Blue Book? You have the Blue Book in college. You had to write the essay in.
Oh, yep, yep.
We get to go into the classroom. We get the Blue Book, and when he says, "Okay, when I tell you, open it up and you write the answer to the question." And the question was WHY question mark. And wrote, I was mad and angry. I tried to what thing. I thought I'd be a smart aleck, and I wrote because.
I mean,
it's a good answer.
I got an A.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
You did.
People wrote pages and pages,
Tom wrote one word and said, "See ya."
I can't remember. And some girl wrote 2 or 3 words, and basically the same thing I said. We both got A's. I went back into class that day. I'll never forget. And he's passing the books out. And he said, "Upside down on your desk." He says, "Now," he said, "when I talk and call your name, you'll turn your book over and look at your grade." I'm thinking, "Oh, I failed this class." Being a smart aleck. I didn't know what to write. Being a smart aleck. Well, then called my name and turned over. I went, "Oh, oh my God!" He said, "Now read your answer." Got booze. And hey, I got an A.
Yeah.
Being a smart aleck.
Why are you booing me? I'm right.
That's right.
And
those, all these things in my life are accidents. See, that was an accident. I was being a smart aleck, and because and ended up getting an A in the class.
And I think one thing that you said that is maybe more profound than you realize it is, even if it is repeated, is that a creator doesn't create something without a purpose. And I think regardless of what your views are or of who is the creator, how we got here, we were created by something or someone.
And there's a
and
purpose behind it.
there must be, unless this is a total cosmic accident, which I think if you just look into the sheer statistics and the odds of that happening are very, 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 very slim to none.
Look at the human body.
Yeah.
What-
Can't be an accident.
And again, I apologize for people who have listened to this podcast for a long time, but I had a philosophy teacher explain to me the odds of all of this happening, our universe, our galaxy, however wide you want to blow up the scope, would be if you disassembled a standard common wristwatch. If we took my wristwatch and took every gear and every piece apart, and we disassembled it down into every gear and every part, and we put it into a standard size shoebox, and then we shook that shoebox for exactly 1 million years, and we just continued to shake 1 million years. The odds of our universe coming out the exact way that it is would be the same exact odds, maybe not same exact, but very similar odds as to this wristwatch being completely put back together and assembled just the way that it was before it was disassembled. And I'm not a math guy, but just speaking statistics wise, that's the odds are pretty rare. I mean, again,
Nigh on
I-
impossible.
so once again, whoever you want to call it, Buddha, Christ, God, Creator, X,
Tree, whatever.
Alpha,
Yeah.
Omega, whatever you want to say, there's a purpose to us being here. I think that we can all pretty much agree on at this point in time. And once again, the responses to that question all having very similar connotation in the sense that we're all here to just try to be as good as we can to others and to try to love as many other people as possible.
guys
you
need
know-
to go find the guy that I wish I could find it, read about it. He's a scientist, and he claims that studying the brain,
Mhm.
we are hardwired to believe in a
Higher power,
creator, higher power.
something.
100%.
Our brain is hardwired to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Hu-
Because I talking to
Huberman
people,
talks about it a lot. There's a lot of them. But anyway, no.
People
I'm with you.
I'll say that even that people that claim they're atheists, there's something. They always say that it's not God, but there's always some higher power. It's yeah.
And I heard somebody say the other day, a Christian lady was talking about somebody who's an atheist, and she said, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm right. But if I'm right, then I'm going to go to that place. If I'm wrong, I just die, and that's it. Which is the atheist was trying to tell her. No, you just die, and that's it. It's over with.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to believe that because I don't want to believe it's over with. She said, if it is that, if I am wrong, then that's it. So what does it hurt me to believe
That
to
there's
do
something
all
else.
the things, do that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's me.
And if you ever want to listen to another one of our podcasts, our Near Death Survivor podcast, I think you would find a lot of joy in
Will.
listening
I
to
will.
that lady speak.
Yeah, it was it changed Alex and I's mind on a lot of things. Opened our
I
minds
would.
up to a lot of stuff. It's it was a great episode. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
But with
I've got
that, go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was about to wrap
I
up.
was just
So
going
you
to say, you guys get ready to wrap up. I'm just going to say, it's been another one of my great experiences. It's an accident by that book. Book got me all these. I don't, got guys like you all over, and I love it.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say like Alex said earlier, I'm so happy that you took your time to talk to us tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you so much and hearing your story, and then I also really enjoyed the empathy that I could share with you, even though our experiences were definitely not the same, but the similarities between them. It was really neat and really nice to hear. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us this evening.
You're so welcome. So,
Alex, you got any save rounds?
No, I don't. Other than uh, uh, last week we interviewed a gentleman, very nice gentleman, from he's a popular hip hop artist, and I love all of our interviews. I have enjoyed this so thoroughly. I've really enjoyed this, Tom. So thank you very
you.
very
you
much.
guys.
It was a lot of fun, and once again after this interview, I will walk away with just a little bit of a different perception on life and how it all happens, and I can't thank you enough for it.
Exactly.
Me
And
too.
if we ever take this show on the road, there will be a stop in Indiana.
Okay.
Tell you that for
Okay.
sure.
Oh, I may be with the Big Speakers Bureau, and I may be going around the country now. And I get your way, I'll come see you too.
Oh,
Please do.
please do. Wherever you end up, I'm a plane ride away, and I'll go wherever Alex
Okay.
is. So I'll get there. But
Okay, guys.
all
Thanks
right.
a lot.
Thank you so much, Tom.
Good night.
All right, good
Thanks,
night.
Tom.
There he goes. Good, he figured it out. Woo, man,
What an interview.
what an interview! I love that. That was great. That was.
I think I made it 10 or 15 minutes before I started crying.
Yeah, I saw the tissues come out.
Oh, dude. I'm not just making it up. I tell Kristen all the time, you can't go before me because I can't
Yeah.
do it.
I
would just be too much.
One day I will find that again. But
Yes.
until then, we
You
out
will.
here living our life, baby. So yeah, you guys out there in the YouTube world and the rest of you that'll hear this later, appreciate you taking the time and hanging out with us and listening to our humble podcast.
Oh,
Love you guys so much. What's up? Yeah, next week. What's up with next week?
we have Amanda Collins.
Amanda Collins is on next week. Is she the medium that I've been fucking trying to say is going to be the week after next every other week, or am I wrong again?
No, I had to reschedule William Patrick. He was the medium. Amanda Collins is the one with the really hard domestic abuse story.
Oh, okay.
Probably gonna cry again next Sunday.
Okay, got that.
But yeah, you guys don't want to miss that one because that's gonna be another really.
Here's your preface, your trigger warning, and your warning to buckle up for next week.
Well, it's kind of another story about taking something broken and making it beautiful. You know, which I wasn't again just saying because Tom was here that you know that there is a lot of beauty in that.
No, for sure.
There is a lot of beauty in taking something that's really awful and turning it into something that's beautiful, and that's another story. I don't want to give too much of it away, but that's just what I'll say.
All right, well, that's what you got to look forward to next week, everybody. But with that, we will leave you for this week. Damn, that's a long episode. We went an hour and 45. So
I know.
So
I just heard our sushi get delivered upstairs.
take this one on the road on a road trip with you while you're out and about. But anyways, Alex has got sushi here. I've got other things I got to go do, and we will see you guys next week. And as always,
make sure that you tell somebody you love them. And Tom, if you're still listening at this point in time, if you go back and re-listen, or if you're still listening, hey Tom, I love you, man. Thanks so much for being on. Love you very much. Love all of you guys. See you next week.
See you next week. Love you guys.
Peace.